Hello, my name is Bernice Singleton. I am a breast cancer survivor. I will be guiding you through this chapter on survivorship. I'd like to introduce you to 3 other deaf and hard of hearing breast cancer survivors. Their names are Elena, Linda, and Trana. These women will share some of their experiences as survivors, what they learned, how they manage breast cancer. The goal of this chapter is to show you that although being diagnosed with breast cancer and going through treatment and adjusting to life after treatment can be difficult and scary, women who experience breast cancer are not alone. Many women are diagnosed with breast cancer each year. In this chapter, you will see that these difficulties, though great or small, can be overcome. Support is available from friends, family, and other women who have gone through this experience. Women can live a positive and fulfilling life after breast cancer.
The cancer was removed, and I've been a survivor now for 9 years. 9 years. Wow! And next month it will actually be 10 years. Yay!
I found out I had breast cancer when I was 38 years old. I found out I had it, and I've been a survivor now for 1 year and 10 months.
Well, it was 1986, and now it's 2007. So what's that? 21 years I've been surviving? I'm a 21-year survivor. 21 is my favorite number.
As you can see, these women are different in terms of the length of time they have been survivors. One, only a couple of years, another, 10 years, and another, 21 years. I myself have been a survivor for 8 years. Every woman should get screened for breast cancer by having a mammogram and clinical breast exam every year. Awareness of your breast is important. If you notice anything different about your breast, go see your doctor. If it is cancer and you do not go to a doctor to get treatment, the cancer may spread. This is why screening is important. It helps catch breast cancer early before you feel a lump or notice something different about your breast. So make sure you can get the screening.
Well, I found out when I was 51 years old. I had no idea I had it before then. A little bump was bothering me under my right arm here. I didn't think anything of it. I was working as an assistant teacher. One of my coworkers said, "Why don't you go see the doctor?" And I said, "Oh, I don't need to see the doctor. What do I need a doctor for?" But my friend kept urging me to go, and so finally I listened to her and went to see the doctor. The doctor said, "Oh, this is something we can remove. This won't hurt." Then I went home and rested, and about a week later, I went back to the doctor for a follow-up, this time with my daughter. It was about 10 in the morning. They took the stitches out, and the doctor said, "You know, I have some bad news." And I said, "What?" And the doctor said, "You already have cancer." And I said, "Is it cancer?" I was shocked.
I went to see the doctor for a physical checkup, and after checking me all over, the doctor said, "You're fine." And I said, "Well, doctor, last night in the shower, I was washing my breast with soap and noticed a lump." So the doctor examined me again with soap and sure enough found it.
I found out I had cancer. I wasn't really shocked because my mother had it before, so I knew it was a possibility. Even so, I was angry.
Many women don't want to get the screening, or they postpone it because they're busy and feel they can't be bothered with it. That can be a very serious mistake. I made that mistake myself. I felt a lump and I ignored it. I didn't go see my doctor for a long time, and when I finally did, he found cancer. You should also remember that if you have been treated for breast cancer in the past, it is still important that you get regularly screened. The reason for this is, though not often, the cancer can come back and a new cancer can start even after the treatment. I get my screening every 6 months. Women react in different ways when they find out that they have breast cancer. This is normal. Being diagnosed with breast cancer can be an emotional time for women.
I was angry. I didn't want to accept that I had cancer.
The world just completely slowed down. It was like everything was in slow motion. I don't know if I was in shock or whatever, but everything was in slow motion. I could see that I was driving the normal speed limit, but everything was passing by real slow. Minutes felt like hours. Then for about 2 days, my thoughts were preoccupied with, am I going to die? But just for those 2 days. From then on, I kept a positive attitude.
My daughter began to cry, and I said, "Don't cry. Just think positive."
Women respond to this news in many different ways. Trana was very angry. Linda was shocked. And Elena kept a positive attitude. There's really no right or wrong way to react to cancer. This is a very personal disease. In my case, after putting it off, I finally went to see the doctor. I had a mammogram and was called back in the very next day. The doctor said, "You have cancer." I was told directly there was no beating around the bush. It really hit me hard. My husband was with me and we both cried. Then I felt a little resistant and demanded to see the x-ray for myself. I was surprised to see what it looks like. 1 month later, I had both breasts removed. It was my doctor's recommendation to remove both because it was felt that since the cancer was in one breast, it might have spread to the other one. And sure enough, they did find abnormal cells in the other breast, so I'm happy that both were removed. Cancer patients are not the only ones who react to having breast cancer. Their friends and family have different reactions too. Many are sad or scared. Elena has a story to share about what happened when her friends found out that she had breast cancer.
When my good friends found out I had cancer, they were like, "Oh, poor Elena. I don't want that pity. Think positive." When friends feel sorry for me, I say, "What for? I beat the cancer. I'm strong."
There is no right or wrong way to react to breast cancer. But Elena is right. Survivors can be strong and brave. Cancer is a serious disease. Women with breast cancer can beat this disease. Elena decided to think positively about the future. Once a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer, she will need to make some important decisions about treatment. Treatment can involve surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, or other methods. It's important to find out from the doctor what types of side effects can happen during treatment, so a woman may know what to expect. Some of these side effects can be difficult to handle. Our survivors will share with you some of the side effects they experienced from treatment. Each woman experienced different side effects, some very serious and some not so serious, and they were able to overcome them.
I started radiation treatments, and I had those for about 3 months or so. 3 or 4 months or something. At first, for the first week, I didn't feel much. Then after several weeks, by the 4th or 5th week, it became very painful. It burned because they have to kill the cancer cells. In order to set the machine properly, they put tattoos on my breast. Then they could set it accurately. The treatments were painful, yes.
At first, after the treatment, I couldn't move my right arm. I had to have a lot of therapy, and it was very painful. I had to train all these muscles that had never been used before. When you have a breast removed, the muscles in there are not used to doing the work of moving your body. So you really have to wake them up and do these special exercises to get them used to doing that. And I had a special exercise where I would practice raising my arm against the wall. They will mark off the wall like you do when you're measuring the height of a child as it gets older and older. This was similar. Every day I would try to make it a little bit higher than the day before. Finally, I was able to raise my arm all the way up the wall. And now, of course, I can move my arms like this.
The next week I went back to the doctor and they treated me with chemotherapy. The needle has to stay in you for 5 hours. I had an interpreter there with me. It was very painful. The medicine slowly drips into your veins. After an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, it really gets uncomfortable. Getting up in the morning was really hard. I used to have to grab onto things to help me walk. And then it slowly got better.
Treatment is often difficult, and the experience can vary from woman to woman. But it is important to understand that women can overcome these difficulties. We are women. We are strong. Another difficulty women may have is communicating with their doctors. Women with breast cancer must talk to many doctors, pathologists, radiologists, oncologists, surgeons, and physical therapists. Phew! That's a lot of doctors. Effectively communicating with doctors during this time is very important, not just for doctors to understand what their patients are saying, but also for patients to understand what their doctors are saying.
I had to write back and forth with the doctors to communicate. There was constant repetition, and I asked them to explain things and show me pictures. I think it's best, when considering using an interpreter for a deaf woman who has breast cancer, I think the interpreter herself should be knowledgeable in the area of breast cancer.
I'm very assertive about my communication needs. I've learned to ask questions about what things mean. I know how to take care of myself. I know how to handle, if I'm angry or I need support. Whatever I need for my treatment or my medicine.
I had wonderful doctors. I had to have interpreters because I didn't understand anything about chemotherapy. So I would ask questions, and the doctor would explain things, and the interpreter would interpret this for me. Otherwise, I would never have been able to understand the terms and the names of all medicines. My doctor and I communicated just fine through the interpreter.
The law requires that doctors communicate effectively with deaf and hard of hearing people. A woman with breast cancer should expect no less than adequate communication. This may require an interpreter, and you have the right to request an interpreter. It's okay to tell a doctor that you didn't understand what he or she said. Even hearing people have difficulties understanding their doctors. There is nothing embarrassing about speaking up when you don't understand what is being said. So go ahead and ask. We encourage every woman who learns that she has breast cancer to talk with her family, friends, and other breast cancer survivors. They can give emotional support and help with recovery. We learned a lot from Elena, Linda, and Trana about their experiences being diagnosed with breast cancer and going through treatment. Now we'll find out how having breast cancer changed their lives in the days and in the months after treatment.
I lost my eyebrow hair, and I lost all the hair on my head. I did not look pretty, but I tried to keep a positive attitude. I didn't care if people were staring at me. I had a wig, but sometimes I just wouldn't wear it. Let them stare. I don't care. You have to have faith. Is the cancer going to come back? That's a good question. As more time passes and it's still gone, year after year, I start to think, okay, maybe it's over. You never know.
Well, I'm feeling a lot better right now. But it does take a lot of patience. One of the worst things about it is just feeling tired all the time and having no energy. I think it's important to just keep positive. Just keep doing what I'm doing. Keep going. Don't give in to it. Just keep active.
I have to keep positive. For anybody who gets a cancer diagnosis, you just have to think positive. It's really the only way to live. Life is too short. You can't waste your time grieving over a lost body part. I still have my hands. I can still sign. I mean, what is this breast to me? It's nothing. I have no time in my life now for people who are negative. Anyone who has negative issues, I just can't stand. They make me feel weak, and I don't need that in my life. I just need to stay positive and enjoy my life. You're born, you go to school, and then something like this happens to you. And you look back on your life and realize what you missed. So I'm catching up now on all the things I missed in my life until now. I'm just enjoying myself. I have no regrets about the mastectomy. I'm just moving on.
Many women are not comfortable talking to women they don't know about their struggle with breast cancer. We learned from Elena, Linda, and Trana that the support of friends and family can give us the strength and encouragement we need to fight cancer. You can also find support from community organizations such as a local deaf service agency, the American Cancer Society, the National Cancer Institute, or the Komen Foundation. They would be very happy to work with you. Support groups can also be important and helpful. In support groups, breast cancer patients and survivors communicate about the emotional, mental, and physical challenges of living with breast cancer. They find comfort and encouragement from each other. Joining a support group is a personal decision. Not everyone chooses to join one, but many do and find it helpful. Women who are interested in a support group can contact their local deaf agency to see if there are any deaf-friendly support groups near them.
I went to a presentation at GLAD back in 1986. I can't remember if it was the first or last Saturday of that month, but it was a Saturday right after I was diagnosed with breast cancer. There were several older women at the event. I was in my 40s at the time. These older women were in their 60s. They're all dead now, but I remember clearly how one of them looked at me and said, "Welcome." They told me they all had breast cancer. Just knowing they were there was very helpful to me. After my surgery, we got together from time to time. One of those women was a survivor for 33 years.
My boyfriend was really very frustrated and angry. He didn't understand what I was going through. The doctors would explain everything to him and give him feedback and tell him he needed to take some responsibility and be supportive of me. There was a lot of anger and frustration there because he didn't understand. Then after a few months, things started to improve because I had started going to a support group. I got a lot of feedback and support and found out that everyone was having family issues. I get tired very easily, and sometimes my boyfriend helps me. Like if I'm taking a lot of medicine, it's not a good idea for me to drive. It's better for me to stay home. He'll also do the cleaning. If I'm too tired, he'll do the cleaning for me, drive me around, do shopping for me, take me to appointments. I think it's really important for us to have a deaf support group, like pen pals or using video phones, so we can keep up with the latest research and spread the word. I think it's very important to have a deaf support group. Any deaf woman dealing with breast cancer who is curious or wants to ask me questions should feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to respond. You can reach me by contacting GLAD.
In my case, I didn't go to a support group. Instead, I used email to contact other deaf women who had breast cancer. We started an email Deaf Women's Breast Cancer Survivor Group. It's been up and running for about 10 years now. If you want to create a support group on your own, you need only 2 or 3 people to get started. Cancer is a serious disease that can change a person's life, but the change can often be positive. Let's see if any of our survivors have some fun and interesting stories about how they help their community raise money to fight breast cancer.
A friend of mine had cancer. She lives in Duarte. And she asked me to join her on a breast cancer walk, and I said, sure. It started early in the morning at around 7. I got up and went with about 9 of my friends. The walk was held in an athletic field. There were little memorials set up for those who passed away, each with pink baby shoes set up all around the track. We walked around the track for about 3 hours. Then afterwards, they gave us all breakfast. Soft drinks, oranges, and bread. It was great. By 10 in the morning, it was over. I was really tired out by it, but it was really nice. There was a nice spirit among the people there. I think it's important to help raise money for cancer research because it is expensive.
I participated in a car rally. It was put on by the Susan G. Komen Foundation. They sponsored a car rally with several different BMWs. That was a lot more fun for me than a walk. There were all different kinds of cars, from sports cars to sedans, and you could drive them around the track. After driving all these different cars around the track all day, I got a t-shirt with the pink ribbon and the Susan G. Komen logo on it.
Walking, running, race car driving. Wow! Those things look like a lot of fun. And by participating in these events, they have helped raise awareness in their community. They have also helped these organizations raise money to fund research and programs that help other cancer patients. I have a story to share. There was a 5-mile walk for breast cancer at Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. I walked with a large deaf group, but to be truthful, I had to sit out for the last 2.5 miles and ride the bus to the end. I'd like to share with you how surviving breast cancer has had a positive change in my life. After my surgery, I wanted to do something different. A friend of mine showed me a book about 26 hearing women who had breast cancer, and it made me wonder about the deaf women who had this disease. I quickly heard from about 50 deaf women and decided to collect their stories and write a book. Soon after, more deaf women sent me their stories, and I published a second book. I may soon need to publish a 3rd edition because more and more deaf women are willing to share their stories. We've learned a lot from Elena, Linda, Trana, and me. Breast cancer can be difficult, but it doesn't have to damage your spirit. You can certainly take actions to beat this disease and go on to take actions to help others. We can live positive and fulfilling lives after breast cancer. Don't let cancer beat you. You can beat cancer.